Well, the thing for me was like when I kind of got my start. Well, I say start, like I've been running ads and building landing pages for like over 10 plus years now, right? But I very quickly realised is that when I first started, I didn't have much in the way of like resources, assets to kind of lean on, right? And one of the first things I had to like really learn was that, right, I need a high valuable skill that's going to like I can use to help build my brands, build my businesses, and like do all this great work, right? So I was very fortunate. Like, one of the first things I got to dive into was copyright, right? And I went through like all the, you probably see behind me, like as many books as I could get my hands on, copyright and all sorts of like different stuff, and like your Gary Halberts and all like the classic texts first, your David Ogilvy's, all that good stuff, right? And like got that foundation knowledge, which was so lucky that I found it and that I liked it, right? I think a lot of things people forget is like when you go like way back, is it was the copywriter that would come up with a page layout, right? We would say, right, this section here, let's hit a headline, let's have our bullet points here, let's have this down over here, and let's all that there. And I think a lot of people get so like, oh, I'm a copywriter, all I do is copyright. And they've kind of forgotten that kind of like foundation element that we used to do that, right? We used to be more than just a copywriter. We were a marketer.
Welcome to The Fix. Sit down with copywriting experts Nick O'Connor and Glenn Fisher as they review, discuss, and improve real-world copy sent in by you. This is The Fix.
If you're a copywriter, you already understand this stuff, right? Like, you know words that convert, you know, oh, that headline's not quite right. Maybe I should switch that out and I'm going to see a better response in this page, right? Ultimately, what's our job as copywriters? To sell product, right? So if we're not like testing our copy, how do we know it's right? Like, you tell me we just sit and write a 20-page sales letter, throw it out into the wild and we don't iterate on it. That in itself is conversion rate optimization, right?
Sure. You remind me of a story. I was once sat in a chateau in France with Bill Bonner, the founder of Agora, and a young copywriter. I'll spare his blushes, but he'd done well. The promo was working, and I can't remember the full story, but I remember the lesson where Bill just went, "Oh, and that's the best iteration of that promo. Is it the first thing you ever wrote and like produced and sent that out into the market? That's done, is it? You've got 100% conversion, have you? No, of course not. The lesson is you can always prove and always iterate, especially in the world I come from in direct response marketing. It's a 1% business. So if you can increase even 0.5%, you're going to make a massively significant difference. I think I'm interested maybe to define it for people who aren't familiar with, or as familiar as they maybe should be with CRO stuff. Mm-hmm. What to you, like, let's go back to fundamentals, explaining it, like almost zooming back from the niches that have been created in this world. Mm-hmm. What to you is conversion rate optimization? What kind of things are you looking for? And I mean, like, even on a practical kind of boring level, from whether it might be the copy itself or a button or adding some kind of countdown, all of that kind of stuff, all the techniques. What's your kind of definition of CRO in your mind?
So first, this is the absolute most important thing when it comes to CRO, right? The name is an absolute lie, right? We are not optimizing conversion rates, right? Everybody says it. It's bullshit, right? It's absolute nonsense. We are not in the business of optimizing conversion rates, right? Once you go like quite a bit deeper and start to understand like what's going to be a good choice for me as a business, right? And there's something I'm going to speak about at our conference, is the idea is like, we're not trying to optimize a conversion rate, right? We want to optimize for revenue per session, right? Revenue per session is more of a blended metric, right? So this is the idea of, let's take the average order value, how much we can get them to spend, and how many of those people we can get to convert, right? So I could give you an e-commerce example. I could build you an offer for your e-com brand, right? And get you a super high conversion rate. And inside 3 months, your business will be dead, right? Because your conversion rate is too high. We've got it too high by giving away too much money on the front end. We've discounted too heavily. We've included too many free gifts, too many order bumps, too many value propositions, but we've not looked at the MER of the business, right? So we've went gung-ho for maximizing conversion rate, but we forgot at the end of the day, this is a business. And we don't understand the financials of the business that we're trying to optimize, right? So that's an example from the kind of e-commerce space. We need to know these underlying numbers so that we can make decisions that have a positive impact on your business. So conversion rate isn't always the answer. A lot of the time it's going to be AOV, it's going to be lifetime value. It's like, hey, if we can get them to buy once, how do we stretch this relationship out as long as humanly possible, right? So like an example from our own kind of experience, we had a brand that we launched about 4 years ago now, right? And we couldn't make money on the front end. It just wouldn't work. It didn't matter how much we discounted. We tested hundreds of different things, right? Like different offers, different products, different sales pages, and we're like, right, let's take a step back and understand what's going to benefit us as a business, right? And it's going to be creating lasting relationships, getting people to spend as much money as humanly possible, because it wasn't an expensive product, right? So what did we do? Right, let's try bundling. Oh, that got us closer, but wasn't quite there. And then says, right, let's just change this completely. Let's raise the prices 20%, right? Shock horror, but then allow people to get it for that original price if they take a subscription plan, right? So it's like, that's quite a mad idea. How long are they going to stay on a subscription plan? Well, it turns out, in this case, 376 days. Right? So we went from not making money on the front end to now literally being able to buy customers at a loss on the front end, just because we changed the offer structure and the products that we were given. We got rid of all the free gifts, we upped the price, right? So that, to me, is CRO.
Sure. So, yeah,
right?
I mean, I'm thinking of poor people on LinkedIn who are thinking of going to have to change their name to lifetime subscription model changes, influencers. But yeah, no, I mean, you're speaking to the converted in that sense. It's interesting that you go to fundamentals almost, in the sense that you need to, before you can do any of the, I'll say trickery, but the techniques and the little tricks you can add here and adjust lifetime value or do that or change the offer. But you've got to first of all fundamentally think, what am I trying to do? What am I trying to get out of this? Exactly. And I think you're right. I think a lot of people, I think copywriters, I think we copywriters and I know freelancers out there don't think about that in terms of their own services, but also when you're writing for stuff, when you're employed to do this kind of thing, it pays to understand that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, another example I could give, because I think a lot of your kind of listeners and stuff will be more on like the info product and like space, right? Is I love value stacks, right? I like taking our main product and then throwing in 7, 8, 9 different bonuses just to get people over the line. But when we start doing CRO, how about we remove some of these bonuses? See, is it affecting the conversion rate? Is it affecting our revenue per session? Is it affecting our earnings per click? Okay, no, so we can cut these, right? Great. Now let's add it in as an order bump. Give them the bonuses anyway. Take $27, take an extra $47, take an extra $97, depending on what the bonuses actually were and what price points, right? So I feel like these are all the things that we need to be doing as CROs, but it's also an idea to know fundamentally as copywriters, because all I hear is, oh, I've been profitable on the front end so hard. And it is. It's a very hard thing to do, especially if you're doing cold, right? Like that's the ultimate test of like you as a copywriter. Can you sell to cold traffic? People that don't know you from Adam, they've never heard you before in their life. An ad suddenly popped up in their Facebook, their LinkedIn, their Twitter, or whatever, right? And you take them to a funnel, you're giving them a sales pitch, and in the next 20 minutes, right, if you can capture their attention at the start of that interaction, right, you then need to convince them that, one, like, they like you, they know you, they trust you, and you're going to do a good job for them, right? And it's quite a complex thing that we're doing, right?
It's tough. Just on that, I'm interested when you talk about like reaching out cold traffic, and I think anybody listening would be interested in this. So I'm just going to slightly divest away from what we were talking about. But what have you noticed in your work around? Obviously, you're going to see this stuff because you're working on the CRO kind of stuff. But what have you seen when it comes to like trying to get cold traffic and what have you? What have you seen the biggest kind of mistakes people make in that respect from a copy point of view? But feel free to like speak more marketing based anyway.
From a copywriting view, is going to be the copywriting itself, right? There's a lot of people that now most of your listeners will probably know this already, right? It's that a lot of people write a lot of bullshit technical jargon, right? Oh, this product does A, B, C, D, E, F, G. It has this features, it's this size, and blah, 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 right? I can't reveal the company, but in the agency, one of our team members done a copy split test for the client, changed the initial description that was full of technical jargon and bullshit to what this does for the customer, what benefit this gives you as a user, ABC, right? Features as benefits. What was the uplift? Well, it pushed the revenue per session that much that added an extra 180 grand in revenue a month over split testing a paragraph of copy.
Sure.
So,
and it's interesting that that's based on that initial one tiny advert. It just shows you how when you actually go down the funnels, that's the bit that's getting people as well. It really does make a difference.
On cold, like it obviously lends really great to like our kind of direct response methodology, but it's like, hey, we are solving your problem, right? We know you're struggling with this. Here's the solution, right? And I think one of the main things we need to do is we actually, in creating the trust factor and like the these people know what they're talking about, I feel a lot of people miss out the mechanism. So
Sure.
What is the actual mechanism that this product, like how does it use this mechanism to solve your problem, answer your pain points and give you the solution, right? So like what you'll see in a lot of our pages that we build at Conversionwise, we include we call it the transformation section, right? And we see a lot of people try and steal it. And what they'll do is they'll go, step 1, place your order. Step 2, we'll ship it out to you super fast. And step 3, your product arrives in a nice eco-friendly box, right? No, the idea is that we're taking you on the transformation, right? Here's you now. Before you've ordered the product, you're struggling with back pain. I don't know, I'm just picking these up out of my head, right? You're struggling with back pain, or you just can't seem to manage your finances. You keep getting yourself in debt. I don't know, I'm just making these up, right? Step 2, we'll put you in the program. We'll do A, B, C, D, F, G. We'll help you organize this. We'll do this for you. Step 3, you're now living your new future self where you've solved your problem, blah, blah. So that's the idea of like a transformation that gives you your kind of future facing element. But then you also need to make sure like we're explaining that mechanism in our copy, but how we're actually going to help you so people can they can actually understand it, right? They can understand how we're going to be helped by this product, this info product, this e-com product. Now, obviously I'm focused on like kind of direct response examples. There are other examples, but it's more like branded, and we do a lot of different stuff on them as opposed to being more direct response.
I'm interested to like explore that as well, and we'll talk about it. But just to pick out on there, because you're speaking a lot of stuff I'd recognise and I completely agree with. The idea of talking about that transformation of harnessing the energy from where you are now to where you will be. That's something that we preach a lot and kind of talk about.
Yeah.
I'm interested though. I think I spoke to another person who does a lot of Facebook marketing and stuff, and I'm wondering whether you would agree with this sentiment that often when people are trying to get cold traffic in those particular situations, they perhaps overcomplicate things. You do need that mechanism, as you describe it, that kind of quite tangible, quite straightforward description of that change, rather than trying to be out there and too abstract. Yeah. It's showing you, look, you go from A to B, and this is how we're going to do that kind of thing. Do you feel that's what you need that in that kind of cold world?
I think so. I think another thing is that obviously it's different for every product, right? So if we're doing like info, I think sometimes the worst thing people do when they try to do like info-based products on cold traffic is the first ask is just too big, right? Your first interaction with the person, you're asking them for $997 for a course, but they've never heard of you before in their life. How many people are just pulling out their Amex card and saying, right, here you go, there's $1,000? No, they're not doing that, right? So your job here is, let's build a funnel, give them a small ask that's maybe a way lower price for maybe only a fraction or a sliver of what the full product is, or a related product that can help them, and then have your main product solve the problem that the first product's generated, right? And then bring them into your funnel that way. So maybe because once you get someone as a customer, you have what I like to think is like price elasticity, right? Like we can stretch out how much they're spending initially to be a bit bigger, right? So I've ran some funnels that'll take you from 47 to 297, and then we'll throw in some more in the back end, right? And then at some point there'll be a high ticket for 5K plus, right? But it all starts with a much smaller ask, right? Make your job easier, right? We're copywriters. It's not a lot of effort to write a 10 email follow-up sequence, right? So like start with a small ask, build the relationship, solve something for them, show them that you can genuinely help them. What you're doing, know, like, trust. We've hit all those factors immediately, right? then offer the more higher end product. Let's ascend them up, right? Let's build that relationship with them, continue to deliver good content, a good service, and then elevate them up the funnel. It's like, we're building this pyramid, right? We start with the foundations. Let's get a lot of customers in on the bottom rung. People that have the money to go to the next level will pay it. They will pay it. I'll pay money to solve any problem I've got. Of course I will. You just got to show me that I'm going to get enough value back to justify the expense, right?
Sure. And I mean, we're talking here stuff that any direct response marketer and direct response copywriter will be familiar with, that measurability, the understanding that you've got that kind of you've got the lifetime value of a customer on. You've got that supporting you in the sense that means I can kind of optimize my stuff by going, I'll take a little bit smaller on the front end, bigger on the back end, and that kind of that approach, which I'm familiar with. I'm interested, and I can see, and I would assume most people can, how therefore then optimizing that and breaking it down and testing new offers can help encourage that and build that up. You mentioned about the branding side. Now, obviously, we're talking about relationships, and it all goes in hand in hand. I'm interested, how does CRO, how does that influence the branding side? Are there different, and what I guess is the less measurable stuff? That's where we are when we're in the branding world. We might not quite see the payoff. How does it affect that?
I think that's where, with clients and stuff, you're going to have your biggest battles, right? Because when you go with people that are more brand focused, right, they don't want to do all these conversion elements because they think it hurts their brand, right? Mm-hmm. So it's like, I don't want to use these emojis next to my call to action button because it's not on brand. I'm like, okay, but if we done it, it would make you more money. So it's just trying to manage expectations there from a client side. It's like, I know that's just selling let's put an emoji next to a button. Well, guess what? Sometimes it works, right? Or it's like, you've got your review stars here. Well, why don't we write a little piece of copy that follows that up? So rather than just say 4.9 out of 5, however, it's 4.9 out of 5 rated by 500 happy owners, right? Or something specific to the person, like happy dog lovers, right? Or happy financially free. What it's like trying to come up with.
You're right.
It's just given trying to introduce a bit more emotion to the copy and stuff.
Sure.
As for brands, so we'd be doing stuff like that. But in the case of, say, we're doing e-commerce again, right? And obviously your brand is this is how we look and feel. Cool. So let's do stuff that helps people navigate your site. So say, for example, we were doing something like a catalogs type site. So imagine your, what would be ASOS, right? Or your Fashion Nova, right? So that would be your kind of catalog type sites, right? Let's make changes that affect the full site, right? But helps people navigate their way better through the experience of the site. That can make impactful changes, right? So that's going to be as simple as right, what's products, right? So let's say we've installed a heat map on that site, right? And we've got all their collections on the front page. And we'd be like, right, we know that by looking at the heat map data, that product, and that product that generates the highest revenue per session, right? People are clicking these and spending the most money. So what do? We take those products and we put them front and center. And so the second anyone lands on the site, they're going to see that, right? And you could go one step further. We could be like, right, that mega menu that everybody goes to straight away because they've landed on a site with 400 different products and they can't find what they're looking for. Go to the menu or the head of the search bar. That search bar, what we're going to do, we're going to pre-populate that with maybe some of those high RPS products, right? And this is also a good way if you're selling, say it's a bookstore, right? And you're going to show that just so people can straight away get to the products they're looking for, because every time someone clicks on a website, it's like a bucket with a hole in it, right? And that water's floats slowly going down from that bucket. Every time you go to a new page, you drop off, you've lost 20%. You go to that next page, you've lost 20%, right? So the less clicks and the easier to take people through their journey, in that example, you're going to have a higher revenue per session and get more people over the line spending money. And the next thing you would then do is say maybe we're optimizing our cart page, because again, if we've got 400 different products, you don't want to sit and make changes on every single individual page to get big wins for clients, right? So then we're going to go, right, let's redesign this cart page to answer any, say, objections the client might have. How long is it going to take to get to me? What's the return policy? Like, just this all sounds like really silly basic stuff, but customers have these questions, right? If I'm spending money, I want to know when I'm going to get the product.
Sure. No, it's none of it's. I don't think it's ever too basic. I think people always forget the obvious stuff, like the low hanging fruit that you can test. But it did just make me think there, Paul.
Mm-hmm.
In the same way, like I guess the question I was going to ask you was kind of who do you see doing conversion optimization well? But actually, I'm kind of perhaps more interested, just from a personal point of view. How does your mind work in the sense of, obviously you've got your catalog, you've got your bag of like, right, we'll test this, we'll do that, we know that pre-populating this does that, there kind of stuff. Where are you looking for ideas for, actually, I like the way that happened. Like, do you have a process where you're looking for stuff that might be like, we could try that, we could test that?
Yeah. So the good thing is, right, like I came on board with the guys at Conversionwise, right? So it's actually our birthday today. So as of today, we are 12 years old as a CRO agency, right? And what's great about me coming in as like I've went out, I've had my own crazy career, info, e-commerce, all this cool stuff, and now I run our training academy, right? I have access to like all our internal data, right? So I can see everything that's working, right? And to date, we have built more pages than any other landing page agency out there, right? We have done over 6,500 pages in those years. Most agencies have churned and burned by this point. Like people that started at the same time as us don't exist anymore, right? We have so much internal data from what we know is working. We've run so many tests. We have like so much data that we can physically see that we know is working for one client, right? Okay, maybe bring the hypothesis from that test over to this one because right. But one thing I would also say, every brand's different. Just because something works for one person doesn't mean it'll work for another, right? And so they're all unique to have their own voices and stuff, right? So that's like one thing that's like a huge advantage for us. Like we have so much experience in doing this. It just makes it like, it gives us a lot to kind of like lean on and always know like there. And obviously like, when you're out yourself, like experiencing the world, right? Like, oh, I seen that cool product. I'm going to go see how much it is. Oh, look, I bought a Ridge wallet somehow, right? And you go through that experience. And once you become a marketer and once you become a copywriter, the magic's kind of lost on you now, right? Because you're always like, you're breaking down that bit of copy when you write, oh, that was a really nice headline to hit us with, right? Oh, that was a really nice way they'd done that funnel. Oh, I really like the way they hit me with that upsell just at the right moment. Just when I was like, oh, yeah, But like, because we now know this, the magic's a little bit lost. Like, sometimes I wish I could, like, you ever want to, like, read a book again for the first time?
Oh, yeah.
Right? See that initial magic, and you're like, oh, I just can't put this thing down. I just have to finish it, right? It's like, sometimes I wish I could do that with some, like, experiences, like, go through again, see if I noticed anything new that time.
But I guess that's it. Like, you're always on, the way I see it. I'm always kind of just noticing, going, God, that was easy. I bought that very quickly without kind of noticing. And I'm like, all right, why did that happen? And I go, all right, they've done that, and that. Although if you then notice something and go, oh, right, okay, that's interesting. Like they've put that up or they've changed that, or then it's the bit that's different that you kind of like, oh, that's interesting. I'll follow that on. You say it's different for every brand and every business. And I completely appreciate that. But I wondered if there was where the similarities are, what are the biggest the biggest movers that you do go to every time of like this most often helps a brand? What's the big like optimizers at the moment?
Price testing. That's it.
Really?
Price testing. That if you're looking for like one thing that you can test in every single brand and the majority of the time it's going to work, price testing. I don't feel like enough people do it, especially on info products. The elasticity on the front end, I don't know why. When it comes to the customers that purchase info products, they are very elastic, right? You can do a lot of price testing in that and find like a much better, there's so much like revenue per session, like average order value you can find in that. It's quite scary. And also for e-com, like it's a great thing to do is like test pricing. Like if you say you've got a store that's doing 20, 30,000 orders a month, you increase the price $1 without hurting the conversion rate, or you just made an extra 20, 30 grand a month for nothing.
It's funny because I was just, when you were saying that, I was thinking, what's the last purchase I had where I had a reaction to something, and I was in London last weekend, and I went in Five Guys and I bought a burger, and it was the most expensive thing I've ever paid for. I was like, how much was that burger? Like, what the hell? But I thought, well, I'm paying for it and I'll have it. And I thought they've been testing the price up there. But on that, then I'm interested. What are because I remember like all the price testing kind of tests I used to do when I was testing big lists. One of the things was like to make the test significant. I get is that still the case, or are you looking for more nuanced tests these days? Like with price elasticity, are you going for 10 versus 100, or?
Yeah, so you mean like getting like stat sig on like a test result and stuff?
Yeah, like how, like would you, if I said, oh, we've got a $49, I don't know why I'm using dollar, I've gone American all of a sudden, but a $49 product, and we sell 100 a day kind of thing. But would you be testing 149 or would you be testing 59? Like how big a changes are you going for?
I mean, obviously, the bigger the change, you would expect a decrease in conversion rate potentially, right? But I can't believe this. Like, so about 10 years ago, right? I might have been stumbled into the world of dropship, right? 10 so years ago, and sometimes we found if you increase the price of a product, people would think it was better. Right. Mm-hmm. And I think I lasted a few weeks, right, before I then stumbled into a much better idea. Because let's take this idea of like finding like people doing like drop shipping and stuff, right? Like this idea of being able to just print money by selling something from Alibaba, right? There's this idea where it's like, oh, we could test a lot of products, right? Very quickly and find something that worked. And I was like, right, cool, that's great. Now let's fix all the problems with drop shipping, crazy delivery times, customer satisfaction, all that stuff. So we found something that worked, immediately brought it in-house, and they just ran that up, right? And that was a funny one. It's like, because we increased the price, I actually sold better. Because it went from being...
Put a zero on it is the classic advice, and I'm pretty sure half the clothes I buy is go through that. They just make it more expensive when it's the same thing, but I seem to fall for it. So price testing is the big one.
I think there's never a test that you could do that's not a crazy amount of work to implement. It could be done on most things, would be testing your price.
Sure.
And then the easiest one to test is always just your copy. It's the least impactful thing to change. Like, you know what I mean? Like, how much copy can you spin up in a day? Like, we have 100 different ideas, right? And I'll actually give you a bit of sauce for this, right? So typically what we do inside our academy and at the agency is it depends on your traffic flow, right? So if you're above 50,000 sessions, we're going to look at ongoing CRO, doing single tests, like one at a time, like looking through all the stuff, right? If you're below that, right, it's quite hard to get a result that's statistically significant. So I could give you an example, right? So I had a new funnel I was running, and I was like, I think I could get a bit more out of this. So change the headline, right? Focused a little bit more on like the benefits, right? Like just adding an extra couple of benefits to the headline and sub-headline and just pushed on that. First day, we're like, damn, 30% uplift. Oh, this is amazing, right? So a week goes by, it's only about 15%. 2 weeks go by, about a 5% uplift. Then we're like, then it looked like it was basically performing the same. But then we ran it for another 2 weeks and the uplift started coming back up again. And then so because it was such low traffic, I ended up just leaving that test on for like a month and a half. And eventually it worked out having a 12% uplift. But initially, you would knee-jerk reaction to be like, oh, that's the one, right? Let's just push that out all the way, without knowing that you're actually hurting yourself in the long run because you just had an outlier in the data. So I think that's kind of what you're saying is that
you need to, so anybody who's looking to test stuff, obviously you can test prices, but when you are on a small scale, ultimately, you need to be aware that you might be skewing yourself because it might hit that day, but then actually over time you're going to get lower. So I guess in that you would advise like just trying to keep, as you say, like with Conversionwise, you've got so much data, the the power is in that data. Just keep hold of that and try and look over longer periods.
As I was saying, like if you're under stats, like try and get stats 6. So we'll run a test for 2 weeks, 2 full weeks, 2 weekends, so we don't get any crazy outliers in data. And that's a normal test when you have a lot of traffic, right? If you're under that, you need to run this test for so much longer. So what we've done inside the academy is we've created not 2 separate courses, but we have like 2 pathways. And what we do with that is if you're not above this traffic threshold, we teach what we call conversion design, right? So that's the idea that we, from all our data, 12 years experience, all these pages, we can teach you all the principles we use to build the pages, to build our landers. And based on our data and testing, we know it gives you the highest chance of having a really good, successful page, because all these elements we use all the time, and we've tested through all the pages we build on, 80% plus as a positive reaction to that kind of that element, right? That section goes there because it always works, right? So we'll give you a framework to start building your landers, your info, your SaaS, right? And if you stick to that framework, if you don't have traffic, it's giving you the best chance of success out the gate to allow you to get like your product going, sell, and starting to get traffic in, right? Because I've got this kind of principle, right? And it's that everything we do is traffic plus offer equals revenue, right? That's our whole game. We send traffic to an offer, we make money. That's it. Stop overcomplicating it. That's what we do. Copywriters, marketers, as a business. That's the whole game. Traffic, offer, revenue. The nuances come in where you start having to optimize each little piece, right? So there's organic traffic now. We can post content on TikTok and we get traffic to offer. That's cool, great, right? But that's ultimately what we're doing, right? So that's the game. But now the point is we need to find a good offer, right? We need good offers, right? Before we even talk about CRO, split test and all that stuff, you need to start with a good core offer. So this is where conversion design helps. We'll give you all the principles, build your page out to this format, and that gets the page sorted, right? But the offer is its own thing, right? It's like, just because you have a really nice page doesn't mean it's going to sell. You could have the best looking page in the world with really nice copy. No one wants a product, it doesn't matter. No one gives a fuck. Right?
Can't polish a turd is the I always used to say. But
the first thing we need is obviously like traffic plus offer, right? Then it's what's a good offer? Well, a good offer is one that generates more revenue than what it costs us in traffic and associated costs. So revenue's got to be greater than what's costing us. The tricky part is not all good offers give you that money at once, right? It might be drawn out over 3, 6, 9 months, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, right? So it could be quite hard to understand like the nuance of that, of what a good offer is. So as an example I gave you previous in the call, was like we've pushed out to 370 plus days, right? It took a long time to get that date and we didn't know that number until 4 years later, right? But we had these kind of ideas that, oh, you know what, that will let us push it out because already it's shown that it's at 30 days, it's at 60. All right, cool. That means we can get free billing transactions through and it's making it all back out. So traffic plus offer. What's a good offer? So see, once you've got those two things dialed in, guess what? Good offers scale. That's it. Your foundations are right, good offers scale. Once you start scaling, that's when all the other stuff comes in to optimize your individual elements and kind of back it up. So I think if you're someone that's kind of like starting out and you're trying to build offers, it's like you need to get your foundations right.
Sure. And before I let you go, Paul, if people want to find out more about conversion rate optimization and the more fundamental ideas behind that, it would be remiss not to mention the conversion rate conference which you're organizing, which is it 23rd? Is it
23rd? So next Tuesday it kicks off. It will be 3 p.m. UK time. Unfortunately, we've got to also accommodate our American counterparts in the industry. So it's going to kick off at 3 p.m. We have about 20 plus speakers touching on a whole like crazy amount of stuff, right? It's not even just going to be strictly conversion optimization, because as I've spoke a lot, is that you've got to get your foundations right. So I have a lot of incredible speakers who are going to come talk about that stuff. So we've got Ezra Firestone, we have our own Oliver Kenyon, we've got Sarah Levenger, who's an incredible consumer psychologist, ads. She's going to talk about decoding brand appeal, like so all this cool stuff that people are going to talk about how to do like funnel setups to like past customers. Like there's a whole like range of stuff: CRO, landing pages, design, copywriting, VSLs, all that good stuff. And you can attend for free.
Where's the website? I was just it's just conversionrateconference.com, is it?
Conversionrateconference.com. So you can get signed up for free, join us all, it'll be a good time.
Lovely stuff. There is someone called Glenn speaking as well, I believe. But
true. I don't know how I missed the name there, actually.
Do my own marketing, mate. Well, it's been an absolute pleasure, mate. Thank you for sharing your insights. It's been really useful. And I hope people listening and watching found it useful. Thanks very much, Paul. Good luck with the conference. I hope it goes well.
If you enjoy The Fix and want to get access to even more good stuff, join the Fix Accelerator today. Get access to special masterclasses from Nick and me, watch expert interviews with industry legends, join live copy feedback sessions every week, and get connected to our very own private copy network. Visit thefixaccelerator.com for more information.